This neighborhood sits atop the highest natural point of Manhattan, which made it a logical choice for a fort during the American Revolution needed to defend the Hudson River from the British. For the century and a half after the Revolution, this was home to wealthy estates and poor farms. The apartment houses, including some pioneer ventures, were built in the 20s and 30s with the breakup and sale of these wealthy estates. This was the same period that brought to the area Yeshiva University and the Colombian and Presbyterian Medical Center, as well as the cloisters, the George Washington Bridge, and the A train, all of which defined this neighborhood. But more than its institutions, a neighborhood is comprised of people. And among the first residents were the Irish.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mrs. O'Hara. How are the kids? Good, good. And the Greeks.
I love the Parthenon.
Oh, we all love the Parthenon. Good for you, Mr. Yatrakis. Then came an influx of Jewish people fleeing Europe in the 1930s. Yiddish and German are still languages you hear throughout the neighborhood, along with the bells calling people to temple. In the same decade, African Americans such as Count Basie and Paul Robeson moved up to the Eastern Ridge. Later came the Puerto Ricans and the Cubans, and then last but certainly not least, the Dominicans. In the 1980s, no neighborhood in all of New York City absorbed more immigrants than Washington Heights. Almost all were Latin American, 3/4 Dominican. By the time that I moved here in 1990, New York City had the largest Dominican population in the United States. Now we're here with Louis Buendia, who's Dominican and is here to tell us...
No, I'm Colombian.
Colombian?
Yeah.
I wanted you to tell everybody about your country, you know, in your
Colombia es un país ubicado en la zona noroccidental de Sudamérica. Es el único país sudamericano con costas en el Océano Atlántico y también en el Océano Pacífico.
Maybe you are translating for us.
Su nombre oficial es República de Colombia.
Colombia?
Yeah.
One of the meanings of the Algonquin word Manhattan is Island of the Hills. Most of them were leveled with the notable exception of Upper Manhattan, with its dramatic drop-offs and dynamic views, which perhaps reminds the Dominicans of their home country, with the mountainous regions outside their capital of Santo Domingo. Bogota? Are you talking about Colombia? Now, many...
Roberto va a comenzar la siguiente sección con dos palabras simples, ahora y muchos. Ahora sugiere inmediatamente. Eso significa que ustedes deben prestar atención a este nuevo tópico ahora mismo y no más tarde. Mucho es el plural de algo. ¿Pero qué? Escuchemos.
Okay. Now, many of the buildings in this neighborhood are built on the cliffs, held up, as you can see, by steel popsicle sticks, which make me nervous. If I think too much about it, it doesn't really seem possible that they're standing up. This is one of my favorite hills. Not the climb, but the view. This shot right here can be currently seen on Broadway. The set for the musical In the Heights includes the subway stop at 181st, this hill, and the George Washington Bridge. Now, the musical deals with gentrification in the neighborhood, so it makes sense that a certain someone has moved into the neighborhood right next to the subway stop at 181st, though it's not on the set. You can translate now.
Espectáculo de Broadway, In the Heights y Starbucks.
Well, now you're just phoning it in.
Bueno, pues, ¿qué quieres que diga?
Come on. On this tour, we're going to see a Jewish synagogue and a Catholic shrine, but this was here first. Fort Washington Collegiate Church. Built in 1907, it predates almost everything you see in the neighborhood. Let's go inside. Oh, man! Son of a... It always happens! Man!
En la excursión veremos una sinagoga y un santuario católico, pero esta estaba aquí primero. La iglesia colegial de Fuerte Washington. Edificada en 1907, esta iglesia antecede casi todo lo que se ve en este vecindario. Entremos. ¿Por qué siempre nos pasa así en estos giras? ¡Ay! ¡Dios! ¡Hombre!